Hello, everybody. Looks like my audio is working. I wasn't sure if it would be. I'm coming to you live on Friday. For those of you watching this on YouTube, our prep video was delayed a day, but you'll all probably see it the same time. We are prepping Night's Black Agents, which is a investigative vampire spy thriller game. You can check it out in the link below the video. It's published by Pelgrane Press, who is graciously sponsoring the show, and the campaign we're playing is the Dracula Dossier, which is a highly collaborative, improvisational, epic campaign. It's one of the greatest works in all of tabletop RPGs, and our soundtrack is provided by Pelgrane as well. It's the album Dust and Mirrors, music inspired by the game Night's Black Agents. So we're coming up on the end of the campaign. We have 2 episodes left. Episode 13 and 14, and the players decided that they wanted to attempt to resolve the head of EDOM storyline. They found out it was Lucy Westenra, who was murdered by Dracula at age 19, I believe, in the year 1894, and she is actually the head of the organization EDOM, attempting to control Dracula as an immortal vampire herself. We are not sponsored by that energy drink. So let's talk about some of the things we need to do. So, find EDOM HQ. Our goals for the session, as I always like to do. So let's put a few down. We'll zoom in. So, goals for the session. Find EDOM HQ, and we can figure out where that is. It's probably Carfax or Exeter. It's one or the other, probably. Confront Lucy, which is a dangerous endeavor. Like, she's going to have, like, 4 dukes. They're going to want... plan for assault on Castle Dracula. So most of the time we use a thriller skeleton to frame up these sessions, and we probably will for this as well. Let's go ahead and make this an H1. Boop. Boop. So let's see what we know about EDOM HQ. Let's bring the Director's Handbook over, which is in Adobe Acrobat. Let's see if anything shows up if we just search EDOM HQ. Not quite what we wanted to find. Let's go to EDOM. So we know they're in the opposition forces, but they're going to be a node. There's a node that we're going to want to check out, and Carfax is probably the node that we're going to check out first. So the unredacted Stoker report points to Playstyle, not the later cover-up site, Purfleet, as the location of Dracula's former estate at Carfax. In 1894, Playstyle was still on the rural outskirts of London. So this might be a Dracula holding, as opposed to an EDOM holding. But we'll see what we can do to make it work. This is part of our prep. We have to do the research. Also, if you do check out those links that I dropped, there's a voucher for 20% off any Night's Black Agents product before the 31st of this month, which is August. So it could be EDOM uses this as their prison. possible. There's a lot there. I mean, they're not going to have that difficult a time finding it because they have Hound. And they know that Daquan is Duke Nails, actually. The Red Room is a place of power for Dracula. That might be, you know, that might be useful. So there's a lot of Dracula places. I think what we need to do is we do need to go to the EDOM section. And we need to figure out their HQ. My feeling is that... Here's what I think the end goal here is. And this is what Sharong mentioned, so we're going to use that to our advantage. Sharong wants to convince EDOM to use one of their earthquake devices on Dracula Castle, which I absolutely love. In fact, I'm thinking at the climax of the episode, they're going to be ready to attack Dracula. And when they do find Lucy, she's going to activate the earthquake device beneath Castle Dracula and collapse it into itself, which forces Dracula to flee. And he will flee to Dracula's Mill, and then the finale can be an epic chase. Dracula's Mill is where Dracula goes to recuperate. So, hey, good morning, Ethan. Ethan is in chat for those watching this on YouTube. So let's check out some ideas as to where EDOM's headquarters might be. The Ring. They're small. We know that D is Lucy Westenra. Dr. Draws is dead, so only D has the full picture. So, you know, we have to figure out... We can't go... They're going to go to Ring. So Ring is where... So I'll explain to you what I've discerned here. What I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out and pinpoint the best location for them to find Lucy. And Lucy's codename D. We know it's Lucy because Lucy is one of the options. They give you excellent... They give you excellent ideas as to who the master of the conspiracy can be. There is nothing preset. And one of them is Lucy from 1894. If you read the novel, that's who she is. And she would be moving back and forth between Ring and MI6 HQ. So let's look up Ring. It's on page 172. Boom, got it. Ring is the family seat of the Holmwoods. The Holmwoods were the last... they were central to the last episode, so that's a nice tie. It's located some distance outside London. It's in Surrey, most likely. They would have this information. They would have found this information at the Holmwood estate because they went to Hillingham last session, which was owned by the Holmwoods. And so if Ring is owned by the Holmwoods, there would be a tie there. They can use investigation to find the Holmwood property. So let's write this down. So let's break. Locate Ring using appropriate investigative abilities surrounding EDOM, Holmwood Holdings, and history. Hello, Blue Box Pirate. Good to see you. So, there's a number of ways they can do it. They can follow the money. They can follow what they know through tradecraft about EDOM, because they have 2 EDOM operatives, and they can use their history skills. Good morning, Eric. My fellow falling partner, for those of you that watched the streaming last night. So that solves finding the HQ. We're planning the penultimate session of the Dracula Dossier campaign. And the players want to confront the head of one of the opposition forces, who is actually an immortal vampire, bride of Dracula. Dun dun dun. So they must use their investigative abilities to find where she would be. They know that she's the head of the opposition force. I won't say the head of the conspiracy, because Dracula is the head of the conspiracy, but there's an opposition force trying to control Dracula, and she is at the head. And she's actually a character in the original novel. They've been trying to control the vampires because they know they can use vampiric DNA to cure diseases such as cancer and the like. So they need Dracula, and they need Dracula to create more vampires so that they can create more medicine. Alas. And none of this stuff is default in the campaign. It's just those are the decisions we made while prepping. So we're figuring out the path that the players are going to follow to achieve their goals. And the goals are going to be to find the HQ, to confront Lucy, and to plan for assault on Castle Dracula. And we follow a sample thriller skeleton. So they're going to have to locate Ring. And here's some things that they have. They have Elvis, Hound, Nails. So they technically have 3 Dukes of Edom on their side. Zoom this in. So these are Dukes. These are... because this is Thriller. So those are individuals they have. Nails is actually one of the PCs. Nails is Pro Restarter's character. Hound is the flirtatious law enforcement agent. Elvis is the gunrunner, the Romanian gunrunner. So let's look more into the Ring, which is the location. We're trying to learn more about it to help us frame the episode. So they have to... this gives us some ideas as to how they can find it. I really don't like 3-column layout, but I get why they used it for the book. So it's going to be hot. It's not going to be cool. So we need to find... you'll notice they're labeled. This is cool. You can position... it really is. In fact, let me turn it down. I wasn't... It is blasting hard. It is very hot here. Let me switch it. So it probably won't show up on the mic anymore. It's one of those things where it's sensitive, but it is blasting to keep the whole room cold. So here we go. And I actually would say the fan's not working overtime. As distracting as it is, it really should be making me much cooler. But it's annoying. I'm in a Romanian field. I'm in the Carpathian Mountains. So let's take a look. So you can set the location to cool or warm. I'm going to grab this image and I'm going to drop it in my prep, and I'm also going to save it to my folder. This is helpful when running games online, having images ready to go. We've received nice feedback that, I always seem to have the right image ready, and that's because I save them ready to go when the time comes. And I label them as such. So this is Ring. These are all the beautiful people. Good. So we're setting the dial on the location from cool to warm, so we know it's an active. The Homewoods turned Ring over to EDOM, not to the SOE. EDOM exploited the similarity of names between Ring and the Rings to siphon off some of the most promising recruits into its own vampire hunting unit. So this is where the Dukes get trained. So Daquan would be familiar with this place, and so would Hound. From a safe distance, careful observation notes that Ring sports a very sophisticated communications mast, in addition to beehives and a dozen bull mastiffs. Alright. And there's hawks circling overhead. The careless underbrush has carefully mapped lines of fire through inner growth. So this is a very dangerous, this is almost like a dungeon crawl episode, which is like the antithesis of the game. But yeah, they're going to have to... This is going to be very difficult. I'm going to make some notes here. They're going to have to use some craft. And they have ways. So they have Elvis. Elvis is on EDOM's poop list. So is Hound. Hound has officially been cut off from EDOM. So guards, dogs, bees, hawks, leg breaker traps, electronic surveillance, and a big old lock on the door. So they're going to have to use a lot of ingenuity. They do have some help. These players are very, 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 very crafty. Okay, this is the nerve center of EDOM. Dee is on site herself. This is a tough... When it refers to level 5 or level 6, it's referring to our conspiramid. So what level of the pyramid are we at? And we're at the very top right now. So this is big confrontation. And then we are going to copy over the map to our prep, because this is a map of Ring. Boop. An old pantry, scullery, old kitchen. There's a chapel. I'm gonna have to pray. Chapels are interesting in this game because you can make vampire hunting tools in chapels and things like that. Now, our vampires are not necessarily satanic or demonic or mutants. Our vampires are actually far more alien than that. Our feeling is that the source of vampirism was tied to a meteorite that crashed and caused a change in the soil in Romania, which led to Dracula to become who he was when he became a vampire. But we've left it sort of ambiguous. But we do know that there are powerful things. Thank you for the host, Jess. Burst of Hope. Let's take a look. What else do they have in here? So this is great. And this is a big old scary thing. A giant taser rifle. That is what they want us to have. A giant taser. This is great. That's Grimworld. We don't need to look at that right now. So there's probably going to be other dukes here. There will probably be Fort, who the players fought. There will probably be Osprey. There will probably be Prince, who Jisoo actually disguised as at one point. And because Jisoo disguised as a duke, that duke is going to want vengeance. In the basement. Air raid shelter tunnels under the house. Concrete warren of guard dogs and armored EDOM ratings for postmodern dungeon crawling. Literally, that's what they're suggesting. We're not going to do that. That's not the kind of game we're playing. But I do like that they give you the option. So, I need to think about pacing. So we run about 2 hours to 3 hour sessions. They're going to have to make the decision. They're going to have to locate Ring. They're going to have to travel there. They're going to have to get on site knowing that the EDOM is against them. I think Lucy's big move is going to be to detonate Castle Dracula. Maybe explode it with a nuke. How cool would that be? You know, an air raid, drop a bomb from a satellite, just out of space, out of orbit. You will never have him. And that is what would cause Dracula to flee to Dracula's mill if he got nuked from orbit. That would be terrifying. Just a dramatic end. I don't remember that Castlevania, but that's would be very interesting to me. Just, you know, they confront Lucy and she's like, if I can't have him, no one will. It won't kill him. Because, you know, you have to kill him by beheading him and, you know, staking him in the heart. Nukes? What? Nukes? No, you gotta stake him in the heart with a little wooden peg. Duh. No, that's great. Yeah, so I need to start thinking through the skeleton. That is a very nice dramatic moment at the end, because what will happen is bodies are going to be found amongst the countryside leading to Dracula's mill. There's a massive Romanian forest where there's a ethereal waterfall, and it's the location Dracula goes to replenish his abilities, his powers, his strength, his constitution. In original version of the campaign, I was considering having Dracula fake his own death. Like, the players would fight him in Castle Dracula, kind of like Magus in Chrono Trigger. You'd have this big, scary battle, and then Dracula would fake his death just to throw them off. Having a bomb right next to the back phrase. Kaboom! We will switch music. We've been on Atonement for a while. For those of you that do enjoy the soundtrack. Again, it's Dust and Mirrors. You can get it for 20% off. Alright, so let's look more at the ring. We do know this is the headquarters, though. This is the right one, so prep-wise. Ring might also hold any of the following. A fully functional field surgery with hundreds of units of blood stored in the fridge. I don't know what the Luria formula is. We're on page 175. Let's see what's on 114. The enigmatic Monsignor. A Vatican vampire hunter. So we do have Vatican friends. Our players have been reading Le Dragon Noir, so they have ways to fight Dracula. They actually know, or have almost finished learning the spell to finish destroying a vampire. Where is the Luria serum, though? Luria formula. It's similar to weaponized anthrax. So it's a way to fight Renfields and vampires. Tristan O'Luria. This is an interesting character. I don't think he'd be there, but maybe. Let's go back to ring. Not fringe. Give me ring. Hey, it's Cassandra. Cassie. Come on, give me ring. Exact match. Page 172. There we go. Let's get back to where we were thinking. So there's a lot to get in. We have the heart of the conspiracy. We know Castle Dracula, and I think Lucy's going to Tin Man. Anti-telluric vampire taser rifle. This would be... yeah, this is just what we want to give Daquan, a Ghostbuster proton pack. It's great. Let's see what else is there. Well, we learned what the Luria formula is. We know the Blomberg serum, I think, is to patch vampire bites. An armory, including full EDOM rating loadouts, comms gear, and passive UV night vision optics for 45 agents, along with plenty of ammunition, rifle, grenades, flashbangs, and any special anti-vampire... This is good. This is where they are going to get the anti-vampire weapons. So that gives them a purpose to come here beyond just confronting Lucy. It will give them everything they need to fight a vampire. So let's... So, the way I see this going is they're going to go to Dracula's Mill. They're going to fight a bunch of, like, demonic minions as opposed to humans for the first time. But they're going to have the tools to do it, finally. They're going to get into a big fight with Dracula, and they're going to be able to narrow him down. And then they will have whatever method they devise to finish him off. So it'll either be vampire hunting weaponry, or it will be, they have Le Dragon Noir, which is the book Dracula learned his magic from. They have the destroy a vampire ritual, so they might stake him, get him down, and then finish him off in Dracula's tomb, because there's a stone table at Dracula's Mill, and they can stake him. So that gives them reason to come here. There is Dracula fighting vampire hunting tools for a lot of folks. Let's see who Tin Man is. Ha 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 ha! He's in charge of building the anti-vampire hunting gear. This will be a fun character to introduce. We can introduce him. Hey, how's it going, Hound? Haven't seen you in a while. Why don't you ever call? I'm seeing someone, and she, like, side-eyes Jisoo. Really? What's his name? He's gonna be fun. The experimental rifle could be fun. A glowing map of Europe. Or elsewhere with current EDOM deployments. Detailed satellite imagery of Castle Dracula. Yes, this is a big one. The Ordnance Survey map of Romania with the location of the castle marked. So our players know where it is, and there's gonna be a reason. And yeah, it's gonna... There's gonna be a big boom. A big boom. TFFB. This is going to be useful too. They need to... I think this is a good one for Jisoo to get this TFFB. Let's see what's going on here. Zoom in. So we're not on the right page, even though I typed in the right page number. That's good to know. Special tactics. Tactical fact-finding. Melding thriller combat with problem-solving espionage fights. Tactical fact-finding benefit. So let's write this down. So there's things that they're going to get here, and there should be rewards, right? Because if you remember that intro, it's like there's killer bees and giant dogs and armored guards and electronic surveillance and a massive lock to get into the compound. In fact, there's a good chance that people die on the approach. Hello, good to see you. Saba came into the chat, and friend of the show. So for those of you watching on YouTube, we have a live Twitch chat. If you watch the show live, you can engage with the prep. So Vampire, he NBA 107, 108 for Jisoo. So that will give Jisoo an ability to... So they're going to get tools. So the things, the knowledge how to use the things. There's a way that they can do this where Lucy is not convinced that they can defeat Dracula. And if Lucy proves that she can, if they can defeat Lucy, Lucy will detonate and explode Castle Dracula to weaken him, and then allow them to finish like a vampire killing ritual to end her existence as a proof that they have the abilities. So it's like she's the practice run. That's an interesting thing. I kind of like that twist, even though it's kind of weird and morbid, but if the entire conspiracy is falling apart, with bombing from orbit, she won't hold back either. And she's responsible for a lot of bad things. So let's see. So we're going to have... They're going to get bonuses against vampire. Lots of cash. Crucifixes everywhere. A functioning, consecrated Catholic chapel. Greenhouse full of garlic and wild roses. The armored truck. So, satellite-based earthquake device. The most important thing will be, let's double check Van Sloan. So no one has located. We've talked about him a little bit sometimes, but not much. I don't think Van Sloan is connected deeply enough. Let's look at the thriller skeleton and see if we can add some pacing. Goodness gracious, come on. Sorry, it's just... Sometimes it does the right things, sometimes it does not. Fit to a page. the spine. So let's go to a spine. So hook, curtain, wake up, blowback, twist. Reveal, setup, confrontation. That's Grimoires again. Alright, so hook, curtain, blowback, twist, reveal, all right. Let me make sure I got that right. Should be pretty right. A wake up. Wake up is what we're missing. Curtain, wake up. So the hook is Hound knows how to get to Ring via stolen Holmwood files. The curtain, this is where we're going to, there's going to be something, it's going to change our direction. In fact, so the right way to do it is to storm MI6 HQ. Lucy isn't there. Curtain. MI6 is empty. Player, storm MI6 HQ. Lucy is revealed to be at Ring. Players track it down. The wake up is going to be the massive defenses outside of Ring, possibly someone or something they know is damaged. Already have suffered a lot. So they're going to need to figure out exactly where Dee and Lucy are synonymous in this situation. Blowback. Dukes versus Dukes. The agents have to fight inside. Lucy had predicted EDOM's failing this year. Leaked the dossier to Hopkins herself, maybe? I need to think through that. Bomb to missile to explode Castle Dracula. That's more the setup. Everything they need to take out of vampire is here. But in fact, it may be Lucy has ordered internal assassinations. This is a cleanup. She might even be planning an escape where it looks like EDOM... She would want EDOM gone if she has realized it has failed. It has failed. She's been running it for 160 years, and they've lost. Or it may be she's just setting up a feint. Or she's passing the torch of running EDOM essentially to the player characters. In fact, the truth of the matter is, she would want EDOM gone if Dracula's going to be gone. EDOM has lost the Proserpina. More than half the Dukes are dead. Most of the Dukes have been assassinated by Dracula. We know that. One of the few people that survived was Elvis. So it may be that she's calling it, and that's the quit. However, she needs proof. Proof that the players are up for this, and she will attempt to kill them. She will test their worthiness by murdering them. Maybe. I don't know. I have to think through it. So we have to think through it. So EDOM's essentially collapsing as is. It's the same problem they had in the 70s where they were all killing each other because Dracula had spies within EDOM. It may be that Lucy is going to help them and then Dracula has a minion. In fact, that's probably better. The reveal is... That's the tough one. We have to cross that gap. Who would be a minion? There's options. At this point, I don't want Hopkins. I don't want Cassie to be a minion. She was bitten, but I think she's not going to be one. They are, but... We're focusing right now on... We're coming up at the penultimate episode, and the players want to confront the head of EDOM. And we have to set up for going after Dracula. In a straight fight, Dracula beats them easily. Way too easily. He's way too powerful. However, if he gets hit by a missile, a bomb is dropped on his castle, there's a vampire hunting raid, and he has to flee to his mill, there might be a chance. And they will have added weaponry, as well as the spells from the Scholomance to defeat him. There just has to be a good reason, and it may be Lucy fights to the death, so it's going to come down to... So, it may be Lucy is going to give them an offer to join. In fact, we can look at some of the tops of the pyramid, EDOM pyramid. So let's look at the EDOM pyramid. Offer a revelation. Kill them or turn them into vampires. That's kind of what it's going to be. So we're on a level 6. Dracula Death Race. The truth. Ultimately, all EDOM has left is a century of secrets. Maybe one last revelation can stop the agent and save the plan. D reveals something shocking or terrible, like Dracula's next target. Secret from the agent's past. I don't think any of those are at the magnitude of where we're at right now, because we're focusing on. I can look at the players. Like we essentially we have Le Dragon Noir. We understand vampirism. We know where Dracula's castle is. Maybe offer to make them all vampires. Ooh, yeah, she could... They could dose the agent with Lucy's blood, her own blood. Yeah, so we'll figure it out. I think there needs to be a big boom at the end of this, with news reports of, you know, blood stained across the countryside leading to the mill. The important thing, though, is that we see the logical structure. So they're going to try to get a hold of D. They're going to learn D is at the ring, D being Lucy. They're going to have to penetrate the defenses. There will be dukes on the inside that the agents have to deal with. It could be Dracula has taken control of EDOM. It could be the dukes that are remaining have already converted. Lucy's essentially locked herself in a sealed room, understanding that it has failed. That's an idea. Dukes versus Dukes. That's a good turn. Like if it's the same deal that the Homewood was offered, and since this is a Homewood estate, that almost is a fitting poetic moment. So Homewood was promised he would become a vampire, but instead he got turned into an assign and is like Dracula's little plaything. The Hound killed him last episode. The fact that Ring is the Homewood estate, and the fact that EDOM's been operating out of it, and Dracula made those comments that the Homewoods are always going to be stupid and fail, and Lucy was at one point possibly going to marry Arthur Homewood. Yeah, I think the Dukes on the inside are going to be turned, because the players have met most of them, you know. Those are the... Join her. So it's going to be one of those things where she's going to realize it's essentially they're kind of at the end of the road. We know that the place is full of vampire hunting tools and the tactical benefits that they can get So they're going to get vampire killing things, Dracula killing things. They're going to get the knowledge on how to use those things. And then, yeah, this is intense. They're going to have to figure out... It's interesting. So it's going to be... fight or flight, essentially. So they're either going to have to side with EDOM and agree to become, essentially, the new EDOM. They are now going to take control. But I don't know why Lucy would want them to kill Dracula. They do have Orlok. They could say they're just going to use Orlok instead. The Orlok contingency. I gotta figure out how he factors into this. Because that's a whole other problem. We'll have to cross some of this when we get there. It's interesting. Like, this is an interesting episode, the way it's shaping up to be. And you can see, you know, we were given a bunch of tools by looking at the location. We're at a certain spot in the story. Yeah, she definitely is going to want him eliminated if she realizes he can't be controlled. And I think the way she's going to realize that is literally, you know, who do we have that the players haven't met yet? So, let's, something like page 51 in here. Okay, so, Ian, like, let's just go down. Dr. Draws is dead. That's the other thing. Dr. Draws is dead. They don't have the scientist anymore. So, Elvis has turned sides. Fort, now vampire. Ian, now vampire. Hello, Hound. Hound is not a vampire. Oaks turned vampire. Osprey turned vampire. Pearl, vampire. Prince, vampire. Tyler, vampire. The 1894 is not Lucy. Lucy is D. And then Tin Man will not be a vampire. Tyler, maybe Tyler and Tin Man. Hi, Arberlin. Yeah, it's interesting. So, I think if Tyler and Tin Man are like holed up, guarding the vampire tools, they're stuck. They're stuck in the basement. Meanwhile, Pearl, Osprey, Oaks, Ian, and Fort are all essentially vampiric assigns in Renfields now, trying to take out Lucy. Like, that'll be it. That'll be the reveal. Dracula wasn't killing dukes, he was turning dukes. So you remember, carved by a dagger on Elvis's back are the names of all the Dukes of EDOM, and they were crossed out by members of the conspiracy. Dracula's intentions weren't to kill the dukes. They were to turn the dukes. And now the dukes are mostly undead, but they're not full vampires. They are essentially servants of Dracula. And then he sent them all back to Ring. And now Lucy is holed up inside. She has failed, essentially. She doesn't have anyone she can trust. The only people she could trust at this point are the rogue agents. But she would have to make... she would have to make an offer. However, she realizes they might not take it. I like that. I mean, we'll see if my players like it. It's an idea. And what I like is the tools are given to us by the books to set this up. You know, again, it comes back to Thriller Skeleton. And where are we on the pyramid? You know, we're at level 6. We're at the destruction of EDOM. There's one last person. Fort probably wouldn't be a vampire at this point. We'll do Ian. I like the idea of Fort, Tin Man, and the other one all hold up. So we'll have this shaved head guy. Ian, Oaks, Osprey, Pearl. Ian, Oaks, Osprey, Pearl. And then they know Fort, and they made a deal with Fort before, and I like her, so there's going to be some pain though, like getting in. Tyler, Tin Man. So, yeah, I think that's how we're setting it up. So, the agents, again, must find EDOM HQ, confront Lucy, and plan for an assault. Those are the goals of this prep, and we'll walk through it. So, they're going to locate Ring, and I think they're going to go to MI6 HQ. They're going to have to break in, they're going to have to beat up someone, and they're going to have to get the information. They already have assets in Elvis and Hound, and this is where Dukes are trained. Guards, dogs, bees, hawks, leg breaker traps, electronic surveillance, and big old lock wait for them. So there's going to be, this full-on attempt to get into the front of, Ring. Then it's this multi-level facility. It's important that they get here because they will obtain vampire hunting tools that they can use to beat Dracula in the finale. They will get tactical field benefits. Knowledge on how to use the things, primarily for Jisoo, because it's important for everyone to get a cool thing. So, Antal has the spells, Dracula spells, because he essentially got Dracula's spellbook, the only magic item in the game, Le Dragon Noir. Daquan has access to all of EDOM and is a Duke, and can use that, and has had the C-word serum and other powerful things. Jisoo has had the romance. But there needs to be more than that. So Jisoo will get the tactical vampire fighting abilities. So they're going to get the cool stuff. And then they have to have a confrontation with Lucy. So we'll walk through. MI6, learn where Ring is. Go to Ring. Penetrate massive defenses. There is bad things going on. They're going to get inside. The remaining Dukes have been turned into agents of Dracula, and they are attempting to take out Lucy. And that's a surprise. It's like, geez. Lucy had predicted this was falling. I don't think this is more the twist. And we can combine them, They're going to figure out the Dukes. And Dracula has used Dracula's infiltration of EDOM has led to control, manipulation of the British government, as EDOM is essentially GCHQ MI. We know that Ileana was beginning to control people, and it might be we're starting to see signs of it. It's starting to crack. maybe there's a new movement. There's new motions. There's going to be, international trade relationships between UK and Romania, Russia, Hungary, etc., etc. That's where we get back into the global geopolitical thing. She has her out, where it's like, we know where Castle Dracula is. In fact, Dracula's Mill, even if they explode Dracula, like, then we move into what's called the capstone. Draculca. The final episode involves Dracula's Mill, which we're going to enter, and we must go through the national park where he's hiding and find his ultimate sanctum, which is part of that. His sanctum is not in the castle. It's out here in the frozen clime, and at the top of it, there's a stone table, and the Eye of the Whirlpool, where he essentially recovers, and there's a lot to it, but that'll be the final episode and the final episode press, and I do agree, Jisoo does deserve the cool toys. So that's kind of our essential prep for this. Yeah, it's one of those things. After running this campaign once, I'm going to do it again. Again, thank you all for tuning in. This game is sponsored by Pelgrane Press. Do check it out if you're interested. We're playing the Dracula Dossier campaign, highly collaborative improvisational campaign by Pelgrane Press. And the soundtrack is Dust and Mirrors, music inspired by the game Nice Black Agents. With that, we are going to do as we always do, an outro with the intro. See you tomorrow on Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the penultimate episode of Night Black Agents, the Dracula Dossier.